Hello, my friends, and welcome to Cathy Chat. I am so, and I know I say this every time, but I am so excited and so honored and so ready for each and every one of you to meet Super Kathryn. I like the name already, you know that, but Super Kathryn kind of works for me. So I'd like for you to meet Kathryn Lang. And Kathryn, I am so thrilled. Two Kathryns on the same screen. I kind of can't believe we haven't blown up the internet yet. But the cool part is to have you on Cathy Chat today is an honor times a million. Welcome, my friend.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited. And just for the record, I grew up a Cathy.
Okay. And I grew up a Kathryn because that's when they literally were like, Kathryn, Kathryn, Kathryn. And it
Oh
was one
yeah,
of
now
those.
that's a whole nother. But my mom, even when my mom got mad at me, she never called me Kathryn. She always called me Cathy. Because I was named after her. Cathy was her best friend, so she always called me Cathy
Oh,
instead
no,
of the
that's cool.
Kathryn. So
That's very cool. And I love that. And again, that's how Cathy Chat was born. And so I'm honored to have you on Cathy Chat, but also I cannot wait for our audience to hear your story. I got to meet you again on the Global Tea Break, and you were our guest speaker. And I was just like, please don't let this end. Please don't let this end. 3 hours, 4 hours, let's go bigger. And so I was not finished listening to your dynamic journey. So please tell us everything. And let's start with what sparked Peculiar Productions LLC? What is that?
Peculiar Productions LLC it started as a conglomerate of people helping people. We wanted to help creatives because we were watching creatives die in a box. I tell the story that when my mom passed away, we had to go through all of her things and get rid of all of her things. And she worked at a desk all of her life. She worked with numbers because she was really good at math. And they pushed her into a desk job. But when we started going through all of her boxes, we found half finished paintings or even completed paintings. And we found short stories and poetry, lots of poetry, and all sorts of arts and crafts. She had a creative spirit, a creative heart, but all of that died in the box. And I did not want to see other people leave their dreams in boxes. It hurt me. And what hurt it just as much as watching people who were trying to pursue their dreams be taken advantage of by the world. So we started
I'm
Peculiar
writing that
Productions.
down. Honestly, I'm writing that part down. Don't leave your dream in a box.
Yes, please don't. Please, if you don't know how to live your dreams, that's what I'm here for. I'm here to help you find your way, your unique way. And what my mom ran into was the same thing I ran into. I was a female, was really good at science and math, and everybody pushed me to engineering. But I was just stubborn enough to walk into that first day of counseling at college, and the engineer guy was like, "Okay, you're going to take this course, this course, this course." And I went, "Oh no, I'm not." I went
Guess
straight.
what? The answer is no. Yeah.
I went straight to the admin building and changed my major because it wasn't me. It didn't fit. And when we created Peculiar Productions, we did it because we were watching so many people do things that didn't fit. We were listening to people that said, well, that was my parents' business, so I have to run it. Or
Wow.
my dad was a lawyer, so I have to be a lawyer. Or I was number one in my class, so I have to go be a doctor. We were watching a lot of this requirements of the world put people, not only were they putting their dreams in a box, but people were getting shoved in boxes that they weren't designed for. We aren't box dwellers. So, stop being a box dweller. Stop letting people dictate what you can and can't do. And the more we've moved into Peculiar Productions, the more we've understood that that's really what it is all about. It's about breaking down the barriers that the world has put up and breaking down the limitations that they have set on our lives and daring to be what we are uniquely designed to be. Because when you're living your unique life and you're walking out it radically and intentionally, people think you're peculiar. People think you're weird. So we just embraced it. Being normal is overrated. Don't do it. So we are
No
peculiar
need to
people.
do it, right? No need.
Yep. And it's even scriptural. You're born to be peculiar. It's in scripture. So if the scripture says you can be peculiar, by golly, I'm going to be peculiar.
It works for me, right? I love
Yeah.
that. Kathryn, I
Yeah.
mean it with all my heart. Your journey, I'm literally, I wrote down, don't be a box dweller and don't leave your dreams in a box. That's going to go on the description piece of this dynamic YouTube video because I want the world to know what makes Kathryn tick.
Yeah, and that really is the sad part about it is I began pursuing my encouragement. That I'm a natural born encourager. I tell people when I came out of the womb, I slapped the doctor on the butt and told him he did a good job. It is just who I am. I want to encourage people. I want to enjoy the journey. I want to enjoy the journey so much that it scares people. And I did. I was just going through some annuals because I'm packing up for the fifth time in the last 4 years,
Oh
and I
my
was reading,
gosh.
and that's a whole story in and of itself. But it's part of what threw me into re-embracing myself because I had started this journey and I was building a following. I was selling books and I was syndicated on my podcast terrestrial. I was on 2 terrestrial stations, and people told me I wasn't doing it right.
Ooh.
So I believed them because they knew better. They were more experienced. They were in the industry, and I listened to what they said instead of looking at my own personal results and saying, I've accomplished something. I put myself back in the box they made. And then I struggled and I struggled and I struggled. And in 2020, I had determined this is the year. This is the year that I am not going to struggle anymore. And of course, you know what happened in 2020.
I've heard of 2020 before. Yeah.
So I got everything set up and everything moving. And then all of a sudden, my husband, who was a teacher, and my son, who was a student, are now at home with me all day. So now I have to change my schedule. Oh, and my dad is now quarantined with us. Oh, and on Easter night, we got hit by a tornado. Now we don't even have a house. So 2020 was a experience. We didn't break out of the box. We got thrown out of it. And we had to figure out one step at a time what that was going to mean for us. The first thing we did was agree that we weren't going to make any decisions out of fear. Anytime you give emotions the wheel, they're going to drive you into a ditch. Whatever those emotions can't drive. That's why they're not given driver's license. So don't let your emotions take the wheel. So we both agreed that if we didn't have peace, then we weren't going to step. But here's the thing. Peace isn't a lack of butterflies or a lack of hesitation or a lack of anticipation. You're still going to be, when you're doing something you've never done before, you feel it. You feel it in every fiber of your body because it's different from what everybody else is doing. If you've ever been in a situation where people are jumping off a bridge, if you're the first one to jump, that's really a scary place to be because everybody's looking to you. But if you're a girl and you see all those guys lined up on the bridge, sometimes you go jump off the bridge just to annoy them. Not
That's
that
a
I've
good
ever
point.
done
Yes.
something like that.
Oh, no, no. I know that would not be your style.
But after you jump, everybody will jump. One, because they don't want to be shown up by a girl. And two, because they've seen that you can do it. So when you're stepping out into your unique design and your unique path, it's going to be a little bit nerve-wracking. And that's okay as long as you have that underlying piece that goes along with it. So that's what my husband and I have been working towards, is that underlying piece. Well, we spent 4 years fighting our insurance company, trying to get our insurance company to pay for the damage that they had contractually agreed to pay for. And when they won, we were left with wondering why. Why are we here? And I called a friend of mine who is now paralyzed. He fell out of a tree on his head. He's a tree trimmer. And they thought he was dead, but then he was alive. And then they thought he would never speak, but then he started talking. And then they thought he would never be able to move, but then he started moving. So now they just don't know what to do with him. He's my other half. He's the male me. So he's just as ornery and stubborn as I am. It's just in a different path. But I called him and I was like, I know you've been there. I know you've been there. You just sit there and you go, why? And he said, I never remember asking why. All I remember is asking, what now? So we stepped back and we looked at all of the things that we've been going through and all the things that we've accomplished and all the things that we're doing. And what do we really want? And what have we been telling our kids? And what we came to was the same thing that started Peculiar Productions. It's all about finding and understanding who you are uniquely designed to be, and then living it boldly and intentionally and radically. Because when you are doing your unique design, the world thinks you have lost your mind. They think you've become radicalized, because you have. You're radically you, and you're a rad kind of lady. So we want to be invested in helping people understand who they are. So my husband and I began looking at all the material that we had crafted over the years. And when we started putting it together, it fit like a little puzzle, and it fit perfectly into what we call the Abundant Life program. And it just took us from step 1 to step 2 to step 3 to step 4. We have 4 seasons in it. And ultimately, its goal is to take you from understanding who you uniquely are, all that's in you, and then formulating a path and a pattern and a plan that's going to bring you to what you're supposed to be doing. Because the great thing is the windows of opportunity never close on your unique design. You always, wherever you are in your journey, you're the only one that can live your unique design. So you always have that opportunity available to you. It's just understanding it and breaking out of the rules and the limitations that they have set. And we were halfway there because we had been thrown out of the country. We lived on 40 acres in the woods, and we had literally been blown out of that comfort zone into wide open. Now what? Now what are we going to do? Now that the insurance hasn't done what they're going to do, what are we supposed to do with that? And we started leaning all into our Abundant Life program and realized that there's so much stuff that's hindering us from taking the next step. So just last week, I met with an estate sale company, and we're selling everything, selling it all. Because 1, our kids don't want it. And 2, it's nothing but stuff. And the world says stuff is more important than purpose, but the world is wrong. So we have been realigning and readjusting and removing so that we are in a position where we are living purpose first. And the rest follows after that.
Oh my gosh. And it's one of those things. Please don't stop talking. I'm hanging on every word. First of all, is your husband still a teacher?
He is not. Well, he is in the sense that he's teaching a Bible study on his Facebook page, and we are looking at what's next for this journey. So
what's the name of the Facebook page?
Keith Edward Lang. So it is his website. Over on the Peculiar Productions website is pecuproductions.com. And over there, I believe I have a link to his website. If not, I'll put one up. But he has a YouTube channel, and he has it on his Facebook page. And he is all about, everybody was making it complicated. And really, this whole journey is about simplification. That's why we're getting rid of everything. Because
that's a very brave step, my friend. When you said you're selling everything, it sounds like you are selling everything.
Yeah. Today, I sold some of my mom's jewelry.
Oh my gosh.
I know. And I will be honest, when I first had it appraised, I was nervous. But then when people started asking if they could buy it, I thought I was going to throw up.
I know.
because we get so locked into material objects and we
Yeah.
put so much value on material objects. And when is the last time you wore all that jewelry? But I can't let it go because, it was great grandmother's, or it was my mother's, or I got it for graduation, or whatever. And what if that's what's keeping you from taking that next step? What if being brave enough to let it go is what makes you brave enough to live your unique design?
See, once again, just please don't even take a breath. Keep going. This is amazing. And to think that your husband leads a Bible study on Facebook, first of all, also very brave. And the teaching part, if it's in you to teach, it obviously never goes away. And the Abundant Life program sounds like the absolute culmination of everything the two of you have been working toward your whole lives. And not until recently was there the culmination. I think this is magnificent. Now, how does that next step look like in your mind? It's not there yet, but how does that next step look? The Abundant Life program online, yes,
The
and you're
Abundant Life
able.
program, we just released the workbook. We did a digital workbook so people
Okay,
can download
yes,
it and go ahead and start living the abundant life.
beautiful.
And in it, it starts out, it is a faith based program, and it starts out with developing a relationship with God. Our fundamental belief is without that foundation, everything else is unsteady. And so that's what the whole first season is about. And his Bible study, it's not complicated. He suggests he has 2 chapters in the morning and 2 chapters at night, and he summarizes it in his little 5-minute presentation. And 2 chapters gets you through the entire Bible in a year. You've read the entire Bible from cover to cover in a year. I have a little more compact. I do it every quarter. So I have a
Of
reading.
course you do. Yes,
Well,
of
all of
course you
that
do.
started because I dared myself. I dared myself. I'm not at all competitive. I dared myself to read the Bible in a month. I was going to tithe my time. So I broke it down so that I could read it throughout the day. And I did. I read it in a month. I read it for the first 4 months of the year. And then I broke it down into a quarter reading because that's a lot of reading, just for the
Oh
record.
my.
But I have it broken down so you don't have to read all of Leviticus at the same time.
That's a little intense. Yeah.
So it's broken down. So it's a little easier to read that way. But his is even easier. It's just 4 chapters a day. Leave off Sundays, and
My
you get through the
goodness, I
Bible
am
in a year.
I am that part right there. That is the coolest thing ever. Just to hear that type of system. 2 chapters in the morning, 2 chapters at night. Wrap it up in a bow and get the answers that we need. And the whole Bible you can actually complete in a year with this system. I love that right off the bat. Now, how do our audience, listeners, watchers, viewers, how do they find Kathryn? Like, are you ever available for consultation, or how does that work as far as your schedule is concerned?
I'm open for consultation. You can connect with me on social media. I'm
Okay.
really hard to find. It's Catherine C. Lang on most places.
Okay.
I hid. I did just the opposite. That is one of those places that I didn't do it the way everybody told you to do. Everybody said, no, you can't tell people what your phone number is. No, you can't give your. It's like, look, I'm an author. I want them to find me. I want them to find me and beg me to do stuff. Just throw your money at me. That's my goal in life, is just to be walking down the street and people start throwing money at me. But it hadn't happened yet. Maybe one of these days. Who knows? But anywhere that I am, there is a link for me, and you can message me. Just tell me where you met me and let me know, because the scammers have gotten very creative as of late, especially on social media. They come up with some really good ones. I got one today that was like, "Hey, are you interested in a writing job?" Well, I am, if I knew who you were.
Absolutely. Yeah. Would you like to be on my show? And then all you have to do is figure out who are you and what show. So
Yeah,
yeah, I think that part is always interesting as well. My goodness. And think about, I always think of life or business certainly as a great big pie, and how many pieces of that pie are involved in current strategies today and things like that. In your particular case, you've got a lot of moving parts happening at the very same time. How do you determine what step to take today, tomorrow, the next day? How do you determine that?
I homeschooled 3 boys for 20 years while taking care of aging parents and maintaining a 2-acre flower garden. I am
Oh my
I
gosh.
am the queen of focused flexibility. I had a to-go bag that included a to-go office. I built a full-time writing career in the midst of all of that, so I had to be able to work wherever I was. So I do that. That's my keys. Focused flexibility. I know what my big goal is for the day, or I know what my big goal is, my big dream goal, and I break it down into manageable little bits, and then I'm flexible in how I get to that goal. How do I get to each of those little bits? We have a tendency to think we have to go from point A to point B. And the church we're attending right now, the pastor's wife is really big on the beach. And I always tell her, I said, if somebody said, we're going to the beach, and y'all got on the road to go to the beach, and there was a detour, would you go home? And she said, no, I'm going to the beach. I said, but in life, when we hit that detour, we go home. We don't find our way. So either we're not dreaming what's our unique design, and we've utilized the dreams that people told us we have to live, or we are not encouraged in our unique design. So we doubt ourselves. Now, I'm not saying somebody else has to give you permission to pursue your dreams. I'm just saying if the people around you aren't encouraging you to be you, then it may be time to find a new team. Because
As
if
I
you're
said,
going
I
to the
keep writing
beach,
this down. Find a new team. Oh my gosh. This is just like, seriously, these are revelations, my friend. These are like snippets and all of this in a culmination. I love that part. Please continue.
well, don't let somebody else talk you out of living your unique design. That's what happened to me. Is people kept telling me this is not the way to do it. You can't make a living being an encourager. And my husband and I, as were putting together the abundant life, we were on our way to meet a friend in Nashville. So we had some time to talk, and I just started recording us. I didn't tell him. I just started recording us, and we're talking. And he said, we're being missionaries, but we can't call ourselves missionaries because we're not actually missionaries. And if we were missionaries, then we could just go ask people to support us. But we have to get a real job. And I said, just show me where that is in scripture. Just show it to me, and I'll accept it. I said, but in truth, we're all missionaries. And if you're doing what you're uniquely designed to do, nobody else has to give you a paycheck. Besides which, paychecks aren't reliable. We just lived 4 years of a written contract that wasn't upheld. So when we trust the paper more than we do the purpose, that's when we let the fear drive us into the ditch. So he and I just said, okay, we're going to do it different. We call it the George Costanza way of doing business.
Oh my gosh, the George Costanza way. That is, oh my gosh, that is impact. That is impactful. Also, oh
Yep.
my
If
goodness.
you've never seen that episode, George Costanza decides to do everything opposite of the way that he, would have normally done it, and it all starts working out for him. And we thought the world has told us you can't do it that way. You can't do this. Let's just try not doing it the way the world told us and see what happens.
Oh my gosh, that. Oh, and that is so. You mentioned earlier about being competitive, and I understand that part. Just because your name is Kathy, I get that. That's kind of how we're born, I think. But the rest of that piece is thinking outside the box, and you got blown out of your box. Those are the very impactful pieces because, just like you said, I'm going to the beach. Whoops, there's a detour. Forget it. I'm going home. And there are people who do that. There's a detour in the road. Well, it wasn't meant to be. Or there's a detour in the road. I'm stopping. Or my business didn't work in 10 seconds. So I'm quitting. And You have that drive and that mission statement in your brain that keeps you moving. How are you able to impart that drive and momentum to your clients?
It starts by fundamentally understanding who you uniquely are. I think
Okay.
without knowing who you're designed to be, you're always in that place of struggle because you're
Okay.
trying to get permission from somebody else that it's okay to do it this way or it's okay to do this. Um, Many years ago, my dad came home with a pallet of pancake batter, the powdered, the powdered containers. Somebody had gifted him a pallet of pancake mix. So
Wow.
just imagine how many pancake mix bags were on this pallet. Well, my mom was obviously a box person. That's why it was so easy for people to shove her into the numbers box. And she said, I don't want to make this many pancakes. And my dad said, you'll get an idea of where I get it. You don't have to make pancakes with it. Try anything. Make a cake, make biscuits, make whatever. He said, if we're not out anything because it was gifted to us, so just throw it away. Well, that's what we get so stuck in. This is how it has to be that we miss who we are. And if you don't know who you are, and that to me is the most important part of what I do, is I help people be okay with their unique design. It doesn't matter what mom said. It doesn't matter what your teacher said. It doesn't matter what the world says. You are designed on purpose and for a purpose. And the moment you truly grasp that unique design, that's when you change the world.
Oh my goodness, Catherine. I am so thrilled to have the catalyst right here with us on Cathy Chat from a standpoint of I'm no longer stuck. I can do anything. I thank you, Lord, for my blessings and my bounty. All of the things that we talk about on Cathy Chat often are wrapped up right here in a bow in the Abundant Life program. And I really sincerely mean that. Now, what is the actual best way for someone to reach you? You mentioned earlier social media. Are all your contact details on kathrynlang.com?
Yeah, yes, all of my contact details are on kathrynlang.com. If you're interested in the Abundant Life Program workbook, that is also available. Just go to abundantlifeprogram.com. So I made it
Beautiful.
really super simple to find it because I think that's one of the biggest stumbling blocks is we put up on ourselves is we make it more complicated than it has to be. Know you, live you, and everything else will fall into place.
Oh my gosh. As I said earlier, my friends, thank you for joining us on Cathy Chat. Do you see why I keep wanting? Don't stop talking. Don't take a breath. Keep going, Catherine. This is magnificent. And as soon as I met you and heard you speak on the Global Tea Break, I was like, oh my gosh, this is like the best news ever and the best mission statement ever and the best catalyst for growth ever. And I really am thrilled for your success. When people go to abundantlifeprogram.com, do you have a limit as to how many clients you can take at a time?
The abundantlifeprogram.com, we have not truly launched the Abundant Life. That's the next step, the online program.
Okay. Uh-huh.
But they can find out more about what it is and see the link for the workbook.
Okay.
Just contact me directly.
All
If
right.
it's some,
Perfect.
if there's some way I can help you, I'm here to help you. And if there's some way we can work together, we'll figure that out too.
That is so beautiful. Friends, thank you again for joining us today on Cathy Chat. You see why I absolutely love networking. I get to meet the coolest people in the world. And the cool part for me is then you get to meet them as well right here on Cathy Chat. Kathryn, I thank you from the bottom of my heart for being my guest today.
Thank you for having me. It is truly a blessing and an honor to be a part of this.
Thank you so much. Blessings to all of you, my friends, and we'll see you next time on Cathy Chat.